See Brown in your face.
Have you heard of Everything at Once?
Do you know about Everything at Once?
It's internationally known.
Aliens listen to it.
It's the best ever.
If there's something you're looking for in the 814, or feeling a little bored and think there ain't no more, check out Everything at Once and allow it to be your source. It's that raw podcast that's always showing support, highlighting the scene. No need to take I-90 to Peep or 79 to see how it be. Interviewing your locals with mindsets that are global. Innovators and creators on every single upload. So much going on in the EPA.
Incredible content.
Everything at Once will keep you up to date.
Amazing guests.
What you doing? Come through and hang with Tony and Dave.
Community driven.
Bringing everything at once from around the way. Everything at once from around the way. Hey.
Please listen. We love you. Everything at Once.
Everything at Once.
Hey, Dave, you ready for another podcast?
Yeah, I guess.
Dang, man, you sure you feeling okay?
I don't know. I've just been tired and sluggish lately, and I just can't seem to get any energy.
You really should have seen our last guest, Shantae. When she was here, she could have given you some direction. She's a board-certified doctor of natural medicine.
Do you think it's too late?
Nah, man, you could give her a call. Her practice is called Sacred Divine Femininity.
Sounds like that's for girls.
It's not, man. She treats guys and girls. She takes a holistic approach towards health and well-being.
You know, I think I'm going to give her a call.
That's a good idea, dude.
Hey, Tony, what's up, bud?
Wow, Dave, you're looking a lot better.
I'm feeling a lot better. Thank you so much for getting me in contact with Shantae.
Yeah, Sacred Divine Femininity really seems like it did the trick for you.
It really did. I'm ready to do the best podcast ever.
Let's
Do it. Yeah!
It's time to introduce this show.
The best show on the face of the planet.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in today. We want to thank our Patreon producers, Brian G., Josh W., Ian D., Nick G., and Sadie M.
Patreon, it's an awesome way to support the show and say thanks. You can become a Patreon supporter by clicking the link below and choosing to be an intern, assistant, or producer level supporter.
If being on the production team is too much pressure for you, you can also send any contributions using our Venmo at Everything at Once Studios. We now want to thank all the local businesses who supported this episode. These businesses get the Everything at Once stamp of approval and are critical members of the Everything at Once community. We couldn't do it without them. With winter approaching, are there any last-minute details that you want to change or renovate around your home?
I might, but you know who to call.
Yeah! Ghostbusters!
No, Tony. No, not Ghostbusters. Solid State Construction.
Oh, yeah. Solid State.
Yeah.
Duh. Solid State takes pride in all their home remodeling projects. Solid State specializes in bathroom remodeling, kitchen renovation, window and door installation, custom design work, and more, including painting, flooring, drywall, sidewalk, decks. Get your free quote today by calling Nick at 814-397-7854. Solid people, solid product, Solid State Construction.
You know, Tony, with all these renovations from Solid State, I think we might have kicked up some bad energy around here. Yeah, oh yeah. Luckily, we know just the people to go see.
I know it this time. It's Ghostbusters.
No, Tony! Our friends at Cauldron and Thorne!
Wow, I feel really dumb right now, and I can't believe I didn't think of Cauldron and Thorne. The world's largest witchcraft and metaphysical shop, with everything a person needs to channel the spirit world.
Practice some self-care.
Find enlightenment.
Curse your enemies.
Protect yourself from your enemies.
Bless your friends.
Cleanse your space from negative energies. You can check out all the magical wares available at for these different practices we all love and enjoy at Cauldron and Thorne, 2724 West 8th Street, or online at cauldronandthorne.com.
This week, we have an incredible guest for you.
Hello again, everybody.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
We got a friend here who I've known for the past probably a year now, I'd say.
It's a year and a half.
Year and a half. Yeah. And since he's been here, I think he's been making an amazing impact here in Erie for the recovery community. And I've been super impressed by his growth, so I really am excited, and I hope all of you are excited to hear a little bit about that how that happened. Can you tell me about where you were before you came to Erie, before we ever met, and before you started coming around here?
Well, I was in prison.
In Philly, right?
Well, I was in prison for 9 years. It's over 9 years. It started at county prison, Chester County. Then I went to Graterford. From Graterford, I went to Fayette to Pittsburgh till it closed in 2017. And
I heard, isn't Fayette the like Castle prison, the really fucking old one?
No, Graterford is.
Graterford's the Castle.
It has a 40-foot concrete wall.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
not getting out of there.
no, yeah, it's not running now. And then my last stop was SCI Albion.
Okay.
And that's when I got tipped to Erie because they had like Erie News Now and Jet
TV, all this stuff
all
on
that.
TV.
So,
Was that like by choice that you were moved around at all, or was that just like the way it was going?
you don't get a choice.
Yeah, I didn't really think so, but I've been to jail a few times, but I've never been to prison, so I don't know all the specifics of how things work and why they transfer people or how it happens or how that comes up. So originally from the Philadelphia, Chester area.
Yeah, I was born in Philly. And then we moved around a lot, but all around Philadelphia area.
Yeah, cool. You like it there?
Yeah, my family's there. I love visiting. We're going to have a family reunion soon. I think that's the 2nd of November.
A big family?
Let me see. My mom has 2 siblings, and my father has 4. Got a lot of cousins.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool. That'll be fun, man. So in Albion, decide to move, or did you go to like the CC Center or anything like that, or you just home plan straight to a place?
I home plan straight to my own apartment.
Nice.
Yeah, so I had some resources, and I utilized that.
To get a place and be able to home plan.
I didn't want to go to a center.
No, dude, the CC Center is not a good place to be, not a happy place to be, not a
if you're in
comfortable
recovery,
no,
particularly.
Yeah, it's not the best atmosphere. And you were clean for 10 years when you got out.
9 years and change.
So
yeah.
the whole time in prison, staying clean, working a program.
Yeah, I was practicing the principles.
Did you have a sponsor that was incarcerated as well, or did he come visit you?
Neither. My first sponsor, neither one was were incarcerated at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I had one sponsor. I went through the steps with him, and years later, I got another sponsor. 2 different fellowships.
Did he come visit you, or you write letters, make calls?
It was letters mainly.
That's an old school way of communication.
Well, a lot of the.
I mean, you got to make do.
written.
You got to do what you got to do for sure. No,
Yeah.
that's just cool. It's interesting to see that people have that kind of dedication to write letters, to work steps.
Yeah.
Do you think that was like beneficial to you, or?
It was kind of my only option.
Yeah, it was the only option. Obviously, you'd probably rather see the person in real life and go to meetings and stuff like that. Did people come to visit did like the NA program come at all, or have any meetings while you were
Yeah, there was H&I. They pretty much every institution I was in, but usually it's only offered once a week.
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate at two of the institutions I was at. I was on a drug unit which had therapeutic TC.
TC.
Yeah.
I used to work at a TC rehab.
Yeah, it sucks.
For the people that don't know, TCs are not for fucking around. Do you get like they had like pull-ups and encounters and all that kind of shit?
You're right in line with it. Yeah.
So the way it works for the people out there, like a TC community or a therapeutic community is just basically a bunch of people calling each other on their bullshit. That's like the simplest way I can explain it. So it makes it really hard, and people can be assholes and abuse that for sure. And it's not really something that they do anymore because it's very, very in your face, very aggressive form of therapy, if you want
behavior modification.
Right. Yeah.
That's why the DOC loves it.
Yeah, because it's no fucking around. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they can be pretty ruthless too about like you fuck up, you're not in the TC anymore. And usually there's some sort of benefit to being in the TC generally.
Well, yeah. If you have to do TC and you don't complete it, you're not making parole.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to complete that. You want to be a good boy.
Sink or swim.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. And you came out, and what was like your first thought? Like you're starting fresh, brand new for yourself. You had an apartment. Do you have any connections or resources here up in Erie?
I think about 7 people. 4 were in recovery, and other 3 I was just incarcerated with, and they either lived in Erie or they decided to come live in Erie.
Yeah.
So
brand new. How old are you?
I'm 52.
No way.
I would have never guessed
I
that.
would have thought like
40s.
upper 30s,
Early 40s.
early 40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
So
prison will preserve you if you live well in there.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Right. So you got out and brand new, 10 years incarcerated. That's a long fucking time, dude.
Yeah. Well, the hardest thing at first was, smartphone. And it's still
the hardest thing. Dude, it's still the hardest thing for people that have been using smartphones forever to use them appropriately, I think.
There's so many things that they do that I don't even know how they do.
Yeah.
I just
It
use
is.
like the most basic functions, you
Right.
know?
Call, text, scroll on social media,
Right.
which is all brand new too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything was, even now, like when I go to a restaurant, I'm not used to so many options. So I always ask the waitress, hey, what would you order if?
Yeah.
And usually they're spot on, you know?
They
And
know
that's-
what's good. They eat there all the time, probably,
Yeah. And that was a happy way of me dealing with, I'm looking at a menu and I want like most of it.
Right.
How do I narrow that down?
Right.
So,
Yeah, there's a big learning curve, especially after you're incarcerated that long, to reintegrate back into society. Were you involved in any sort of like outpatient care or?
yeah, I had to do a mental health evaluation. I had to do outpatient. And there were some other things too that parole was jumping me through. But when I was incarcerated, about halfway through, I got off all the psychotropic medication. And that sucked at the time because it was like for 2 years. Well, I'm just kidding myself. Even now,
Right.
I still have a hard time getting to sleep. So to my mental health evaluation, I didn't need anything else. And then I do the drug and alcohol. I have 3 sessions, and the guy's like, you're doing everything we're trying to get people to do, and it was done.
Nice.
So that
It's good
was,
when you get a therapist that actually is like on your side.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they're always on your side, but like coming from a past like mental health therapist, counselor background, it can be like pulling teeth to try to get people to help themselves sometimes.
Well, I guess he knew I wasn't bullshitting.
Right.
There's one thing just talking the talk, and he saw that this was my lifestyle. So so that wasn't a big thing. But
Right.
I think the biggest transition, I mean, minus the funny things, like I didn't have a zipper for almost a decade.
Right.
A lot of times I'd be running around trying to get my life in order, stop in the bathroom, and then forget to zip my fly.
Right.
And I'm thinking, like, I'm coming out and I'll see like a younger girl looking at me. I'm thinking she's checking me out,
Right,
and I'm feeling myself.
Oh,
I just
yeah, of
came
course,
out of
dude.
prison. I got the jail shine.
Right.
And then I go and leave, and I was like, man, because I got out in January, and I'm like, man, I feel that. I was like, man, she was just looking at some old dude with his fly down.
Yeah. That's funny, dude.
So,
And do you, like that transition period, did you like, we've been talking a little bit about where you're at today before this and moving so swiftly through like things that a lot of people struggle with to accomplish, even not coming from like an institutionalized background, like staying clean, building a support group, putting together a successful business, a few successful businesses, and doing all that stuff. So like, did you come from that background prior to your incarceration, or is this all like brand new?
I had a couple businesses I started when I was clean before.
Okay.
And then I would relapse, go back to prison. So I had some experience there. But this time in particularly, my time when I was down was no less valuable to me just because I'm incarcerated. It had no less value to me. And I used to use little mantras like, I got to go to work every day for me. And that took form of reading books. So I read like 2 to 3 books, particularly my first 5 years, every week. And some of these books are thick. And I would take a minimum of 2 pages of notes, sometimes well over a dozen. And I knew that this had value, and let me save that and let me build up this. I read a long time ago, when people go for their doctorate, they read 30 to 40 books specifically on that topic to get their doctorate. Well, I was like, I got enough time. I can get double and triple doctorates. And I don't need the piece of paper to empower my life. I need the knowledge and learn how to apply that knowledge in my life.
Yeah.
So doing that on a daily basis, in and out, it built up.
Are you still reading at that level now?
No, I really haven't read it all,
At all
since
since you've
I
been
got
out?
Other than, I read Just for Today and a spiritual principle. I do like my daily readings.
What were you reading while you were incarcerated?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Like, I think like the most interesting book I read was probably like The Richest Man in Babylon, 15 Laws of Success, Napoleon Hill. His more popular book is Think and Grow Rich, but that's more general. The 15 Laws of Success it's written like a lesson in each of them. And the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series is really cool because it talks about, your financial IQ in this form of storytelling. So, yeah, I think those books, I like Tony Robbins, his books are great. There's just so many good books. And then, like, I would read like a book on accounting once a year, and That's like the most boring book in the world.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Most like
textbook.
textbooks like that are not super fun to read.
Do you still?
But reading them is a skill. Like being able to sit down and read stuff that's not like entertaining or like fulfilling that that dopamine that we all want in our brain is definitely like a practice in discipline and a practice in like life and doing the things that we don't want to do because the end payout is going to be greater than the short-term suffering.
Do you still have the notes? Do you still have your notes?
I
You
have
go
a
through
great
them?
tote, and it's insane the amount of notes I have.
Do you
Yeah.
ever go through them still?
Yes. When I got into property management contracting, I read like a half a dozen books that were geared right for that. So like the forms I used, some of the systems I used, leases, all that stuff, all came from my notes. So it's been very useful, and I utilize that.
It sounds like you really made the most of your time while you were down.
I wish everyone would.
I wish everyone too. Like this brings up like the whole jail rehabilitation myth reality and whether or not you actually want to allow it to be rehabilitative or to be a benefit to you while you're down, or if you want to, you know, eat ho-hos and watch TV all day.
Yeah.
Every person that I've known that's come out of a long stint, the only thing that's been like tried and true for all of them is they're fucking jacked when they get out of when they get out.
Right.
Not so much at other things, but like they're always just in
Or
like,
they're fat
peak.
as shit though.
I've never met anybody. I've
Yeah,
never known anybody.
There's that too.
I believe it. I've never met anyone that I knew personally that came out fat as shit. They always came out, and I'd be like, God damn, like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, part of while I was down too was getting my self-care right. So I would use, you know, mind, body, and spirit. I did something every day for my mind, every day for my body, every day for my spirit. And there was a book I read. It was Brian Tracy. I think it was Focus Point. And he talked about the 1,000% principle.
1,000 hour.
What? No, the 1,000% principle. And basically, if you focus on small growth, and I did it not just in one area, mind, body, spirit, 0.1% on a daily basis. Now that seems doable. If you do that for, in a month, I think it's like 2% and change, something like that. Yeah, and in a year, it's like 26% improvement. You compound that into 10 years, and it's like 1,004%.
Yeah.
I got time to do.
All right.
I want to improve
You're good.
1,000%. Let's do this.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the books I read, there's a lot of information, particularly the books that I suggest. I tried to just make an imprint in my mind, one thing, and one thing that I could do now. So like when it came to like learning about saving money, that's what I did when I was in prison. I pretty much saved everything. When it came to, you know, creating things, I started like the business that like Huston Consulting Group LLC. I incorporated that while I was still in prison. These are all, I focused on things that I could do, not what I can't do. And I credit that from working a program because the three principles that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness.
Those
You
three.
know? And
I knew where you were going with that.
Yeah.
I was
heard that
prepared
before.
for that one.
Now, what's your educational background before, like, when you were younger? Like, did you do good in school? Did you go to college?
no, I was a pretty lazy student. I wouldn't hand in assignments. I wouldn't study. I got mostly C's, which is kind of amazing. I think I went to summer school one time, and I think that was on algebra. So like I had to remember like formulas and stuff, and I never got around to that.
So you're all like autodidactic which means self-taught. That's a new word I learned recently.
I like autodidactic.
Autodidactic. Self-taught as far as like all of your study methods go. Because like taking notes and like knowing what's valuable in information in like the books that you read is incredibly important, because anybody can read a book, but being able to analyze what's important and recognizing what's important enough to actually write down, and writing it down is a whole higher level of like my learning, you know what I mean, that I've learned like through going to college and going to high school and learning like proper and good study techniques that work for me, you know what I mean? So I was just curious about that.
Well, with books kind of make it easy. Like when they bullet point things,
right?
Maybe take that down. Stuff that's italics. And some books that aren't written that way, kind of the chapters, or if there's subsections, then I use those as my bullet points and take some notes that comes after those headings.
Sure.
And particularly anything that I wasn't familiar with and I was interested in getting into, those were the books where I usually took like a dozen pages of notes or more.
Sure.
But what's also amazing to me too, because I've probably read easily over 1,000 nonfiction books. A lot of the information is the same, and it's presented in different ways. And I also see the connection in my my recovery lifestyle and the program I work for myself, in a lot of the other books that it's like it's all there.
Right.
So
certain principles definitely tie in and get repeated throughout all sorts of different lifestyle or like positive self-help, self-growth books, or like whatever you're listening to, podcasts or whatever. The principles are all the same, which are like, you know, discipline and open-mindedness, honesty, willingness, all of those things kind of tie in through so many different parts. Yeah. Consistency, persistence, all of those things, doing it over and over again and continuing and not giving up. You know what I mean? I feel like
there was another book that I read, Power of Influence. I think it was like Richard R. Caldini. I've never heard anyone say his last name, so I'm just saying how I remember it. But he had like 6 laws of persuasion. Consistency is one of them, if I remember correct. Authority.
Did you ever read Robert
Scarcity.
Greene? 48 Laws of Power.
A lot of that's. I don't like the undertones.
Yeah, he's pretty dark.
Yeah, because it's just like, I don't mind using psychology for good, as long as you're not stepping on the next man.
Right. And he doesn't really care. He's pretty much aimed towards gaining power and influence. You know what I mean? Whether it's a positive influence on other people or a negative influence, it's really just all about manipulation to get what you want.
Yeah, he carries both sides of the spectrum. And I think it's up to the individual to see, well, what kind of person do you want to be?
Yeah, how am I going to use these to benefit me or take away from other people? So, so that's like a really... I don't hear very many stories of people ever being locked up and going that in depth into like educating themselves and really trying to make it a rehabilitative process for themselves.
It really makes sense as to why you've been so successful since you've been out. I mean, the roots to the tree are there.
Yeah. Before you came out. So back to getting out, I mean, you got this apartment. Do you have like a background in like property management or construction or any of that stuff?
Oh yeah, construction. But property management, no. But I know, like on the outskirts, you know, when I was contracting, you know, I knew I could make some good money positioning myself to get calls,
Right.
whether it's, you know, someone trying to sell and it's coming to settlement and these improvements need to be made. Hey, here I am. And then on the flip side, when it comes to managing other people's properties, that's started for me after I had a few properties, because I'm doing similar tasks. Well, let me do it for someone else and get some extra revenue from that, because, well, also my houses don't make enough money to pay the bills. So that's why I had to step up on the construction aspect. So the taxes, the insurance, the water bills, heating season's coming back around. That they get pretty horrendous some months.
Your first was your first property a 3/4 house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't intend that at all. It just, I guess, higher power to the rescue on that. Because, like, okay, I get the phone. I have some resources, and I'm thinking just about me. Hey, I'm coming to Erie. I'm going to start this construction business. I don't have to rush right into getting paychecks. I'm okay for that. And I'm looking on real estate. I'm trying to learn that. And there's a house for sale just blocks away for $20,000. It was somewhere down around 7th and Ash. So let me walk down there. I set up to see it. In the thing, it said it had a hole in the roof and it needed repairs. That's basically all. Well, it had 3 holes in the roof. There was like a foot of water in the basement.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, yeah, probably needs another 50 grand or more.
Just to be livable.
Yes. I wanted something I could move into, live in, and fix.
Right.
That was not it. So I left kind of discouraged. I don't know Erie, so I'm zigzagging. And as I zigzag between, and I'm on 9th Street in between, Wallish and Ash, I see a for sale sign. And the house, it looks kind of abandoned, but it didn't look like the other house.
Sure.
So
20 G's is awful cheap, though.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's real
my
cheap.
first house, before I bought this house, when we were looking, one of the houses I was looking at was $26,000, and it was huge, and it had hardwood floors and all this stuff, but, like, I don't have the construction background to be able to be like, yeah, this is okay, or yeah, needs a ton of work. Like, obviously there was, like, cosmetic stuff that I could see need fixed. Like, yeah, the kitchen needs right done. A lot of this is super dated. All this shit's fucked up. But, like, there are cheap properties around here. You know what I mean? Actually, I don't know so much anymore, but back then it was like...
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, when you were looking, that was significantly, pre-COVID. Like, post-COVID, things have really shot up, you know, house pricing.
Just the houses I've gotten, I tracked them, and it's pretty amazing. Yeah. And part of my research coming to Erie was... I knew the next 10 years, all the indicators were there that, you know, you have a city that's investing in itself for over 20 years. They did the Bayfront, State Street, now Parade Corridor is on fire. It looks like East Ave, they're going to shoot up there.
Popping off, yeah.
All like 6th Street, 9th Street, 10th Street. You see all those houses there, absolutely amazing. But you got these pockets all over the place in these houses that Erie, in its glory day, these houses were magnificent.
Right.
They just need a little tender love and care.
Right. Fell into disrepair. Need a little bit of attention.
And that's common with a lot of cities. But
Erie
right now, I look at as a powerhouse. And look at all you drive anywhere around Erie, they're doing stuff for gas lines, electrical, they're doing the streets, repaving them. That's the kind of city you want to live in. And even change happens really slowly.
Sure.
I've been seeing change go in a positive direction since I've been here. In almost every neighborhood of the houses that I've bought, other people are buying houses and improving. Right. Now, there's some individuals just buying houses and then they have renters or they'll put renters and they just ride it till the brakes fall off. But I think that's more, that's getting weeded out. Yeah. And you got real people coming here that are really putting some money into the housing stock. The rents are going up. The housing market's going up. Those things are all positive trends that presents opportunities.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, that's growth. Yeah. That's a lot of money coming in and getting spread around those communities in those areas, for sure.
Everyone can eat.
Yeah.
And for someone with my background, when you're in an environment like that, they don't care about your background. What they care about is you're going to do what you say you're going to do.
Right.
And I've learned that because I live my life on principles now, not my feelings. And there's been so many times, there's been 3 times where, I mean, I had like less than $100 in my bank account.
Sure.
And I got thousands of dollars of bills. And I'm like, man, they're going to shut off the gas in all my houses. They're going to shut off the water and everything. And then something would come up. And then, boom.
Good to go.
And I get to have a little breathing space.
Right. The wheels keep spinning.
Yeah.
I've never, I don't think I ever have. I could be wrong, but I don't think that I've ever met a person in the last 10 years myself when they are like truly with all of their intentions, like doing what they believe to be the right thing, not get through those type of moments in one way or another.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it. It's like
spirit or higher power provides one way or another.
Well, it's a mind-blowing thing because, like, you know, sometimes against all, like, odds or statistical trends, it's like, okay, this is gonna fucking fail or something not good is gonna happen, but just people who have, like, that positive way of living always seem to have things break in their direction. Right. It's just very cool.
So you're looking for your first property.
Oh, okay.
And you see this one place, you're a little discouraged. You probably had to look at quite a few more places before you ended up finding one. Really?
Well, it has a for sale sign. I call the number and I get the price and they say $75,000. And I was like, yeah, I can't do that, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'd have to like immediately go to work, and I'm just getting acclimated. I've only been out a little over a month, but I'm getting more courage. Hey, I got to start setting the foundation for this. And I don't know what I did with my phone, but I got a notification. It was like a day, maybe 2 days later, price drop to $50,000.
There you go.
Now, I read over 100 books on real estate, so they're either a motivated seller or a distressed seller. And this house has been on the market for a bit. It was an estate sale. There was all these things. So I go look at the place, and it's not a single-family home. It's a multi-family home. And I'm like, I almost walked away, but...
A lot of people look for that specifically, too, especially for, like, a first house. The multi-family home, because they want to rent half of it. You know what I mean?
But that's not the spark that hit. Because the spark that hit is, let's do a 3-quarter house. Mm-hmm. Now, when I was in prison, I wrote a business plan for my construction business. And then the very last section, I just did a giving back section. And it was about 3-quarter houses. Mm-hmm. And so not only did I do a business plan, I did a business plan just for that. And I did all the forms, even the handbook that we have today, I wrote in a prison cell.
Right.
And I'm like, I got everything in my gray tote to do this.
Yeah.
And at first I did, because there was a 1-bedroom apartment in the back and a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath in the front. So I was like, I'll do the recovery house. I'll live in the back. Yeah, this is all doable. And anything, it chokes me up a little bit. as it progressed, I was just like, no, because I saw real quick, I didn't realize, but we need transitional living.
Huge demand, huge
in
need
Erie.
for it here.
So I was like, why take up the space? And the apartment that I moved into from a prison cell was a palace. I still rent it now. Mm-hmm. I just don't live there.
Yeah.
I haven't been willing to give it up.
Just in case.
Well, maybe that too. But yeah, so I bought it on April 21st of 23, and May 10th of 23 we had our first resident. April 21st was, I was out of prison 97 days, something like that. And, yeah, and it was like, maybe 7 weeks later, we got another house, well, another property. It actually has 2 3-bedroom houses on it. And then 2 months after that, we did what was called a bundle deal, and I bought 5 properties off of the same owner. And then March of this year we bought another property, and then April another property. I bought that house to flip. Still haven't sold it. It's I'm supposed to have settlement on the 16th. And then buy another property on the 24th.
It's big time shit, dude.
Yeah, and for our listeners out there, how our universe works here, both of those things have happened already by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
The 16th has happened.
Yeah, your house is sold, dude.
It's not sold till I get the check. We've already had 3 pushbacks for settlement, so there's some financial issues on the buyers with their financing.
Yeah. We're just saying, like, when this episode actually airs, it will be sold.
I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with that.
We're living in the future right now.
Yeah.
We're living in the future.
We forgot to bring the confetti and streamers,
Yeah, dude,
and that's our bad.
congratulations. It's amazing, dude. That's wild, though. Like, 5 properties, 6 properties within 6 months of being out.
Well, I'm an addict. You know, you get one, then, I got to get another. Oh, you know what? Let me get 5 more.
Yeah, all at once. Yeah. Like, here we go.
You got any more of them houses for me?
Right.
Well, it was like 2 properties were pretty easy to manage, and then 5 more all at once. I'm still haven't caught up yet.
Right.
Like, I got 12,000 square foot of flooring that I want to get into these houses. And if I didn't have to rely on the construction aspect of my endeavors and could just focus on 3-quarter houses, I think they would be more successful. They'd be more beautiful, particularly on the inside. Things like that, but I get distracted because these things all take capital.
Right.
And the house, like, we take in 80% of our residents don't have no money. And half of them never pay any money. So that's 40% of everyone that's been through our doors have not contributed to that.
Have you had issues with kicking people out?
Yeah, but nothing
crazy.
major. Yeah, like I didn't have to like knuckle up with anyone or put hands on them. Believe me, I wanted to a couple times, because sometimes, my character defects want to come out, and they're just shortcomings. I can control that. So.
Right, and just for our listeners a little bit, can you tell us what a 3-quarter house exactly is for people that may not know what they are?
My house is, we provide a safe, secure, sober living environment for our residents. And we're supposed to get most of our residents from a halfway house. So you go to treatment, go into a halfway house.
Where you can work and start to reintegrate back into society.
Yep.
And then 3/4 house is like...
Yeah, like if you matched your term out and you don't have enough money saved up for your next chapter, then you come to a 3/4 house. And we don't put a limit because we know everyone has their own process, and their process plays out in its own time frame. Like if you come to treatment and you already have a license, yeah, that you might your transition
might be a lot smoother than somebody who's waiting a year to get a license.
Yeah, I waited over a year and a half, and I still have a limited license. I couldn't drive here tonight. I had to ride my bike here.
It's a nice bike, though. You're looking good, dude.
Yeah, but like when I got the first house, I was on foot. The second house, pedal bike. When I had 7 houses, a pedal bike wasn't doing it, and that's when I got the electric bike. But for anyone that has a background like me, that's where my priorities were.
Right.
I had 7 houses, and I bought 2 work trucks for other people to drive before I bought my car, you know, and I had 7 houses before I bought an electric bike. Like, I'll be going around the houses on the electric bike, and the guys are like, oh, I'm going to get one of them. I'm thinking to myself, well, you're like $800 behind.
Right, you got to get some other priorities going here
first. Focus on that first. And, you know, your housing.
That's one of the things that always kind of makes me laugh. Because I remember this, too, because I was early in recovery once and buying, like, brand new Nikes and all new wardrobe and shit. Because, like, when you're not spending all your money on drugs, it's amazing how much money you actually have.
Yes.
So you're throwing it around. You're going out to eat 5 nights a week. You're wearing the brand new Nike, everything. And just looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, those were the days. I remember when I was doing that. Keep going, dude. You'll start to straighten things out. Just keep coming back and get those priorities figured out a little bit.
You have all that extra money, and then you're like, oh, well, I can buy this stuff, but I still can't quite do the adulting things.
Yeah, I don't have the down payment for my apartment or the first month's rent for my apartment, but like, damn, these Nikes. Looking fresh, dude. Picking up bitches.
Right. Strolling into the meeting.
I've been hitting the gym and shit. I'm feeling myself, you know.
Got that shine.
Right. Yeah, dude. Oh, man. So 7 months in, finally, car, electric bike. Things are good. And 7 properties deep.
Well, it was a year and a half till I just got my license.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I remember that was a struggle for you for a while, too. I had to go through a similar, a little bit different process, but still, like, along the same lines of not having a car for close to 2 years before I could get my limited license. And, you know, I rode my bike and rode the bus and Ubered when I had a little bit of extra money to be able to do that, because that's what you have to do if you want to, you know, function. Or you just like chalk it up and say that time is all wasted and I can't do anything. But like that's not how you function or how you get ahead in life or how you build any sort of momentum.
Get back.
Yeah.
You know, they talk about rehabilitate. Well, how about we habilitate? You know, change your habits, and when you start focusing on changing your habits, your whole world starts changing.
Right.
You know, I still get up like early in the morning, like count is 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm still getting up. Like I used to get up before count because there's only one sink in a cell. So I will do my morning routine at the sink before my cellie wakes up for count. And then he would do. But for all those years getting up that early, even when I try to lay in, it doesn't happen. I'm just programmed. But, you know, 5 in the morning to 11 at night, and even on the weekends.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of miss that. I was in like a super good routine for a while, like waking up at 6 in the morning, going to the gym before work, you know, showering, all that shit. And I would wake up at 6 a.m. every day on the dot on the weekend, couldn't sleep in. And I've like fallen out of that routine over the past like few months where I'll sleep in till 10 a.m. And I like notice the difference in my day and how much shit I'm not getting done compared to when I was waking up early. And it honestly kind of gives me a little bit, it makes me feel depressed. Like genuinely, not like awful, I'm going to kill myself depressed, but like enough for me to be like, damn, like I'm kind of a piece of shit for not waking up and getting all these things done, because I get a lot of satisfaction and a lot of purpose out of being proactive and getting things done. And that sense of accomplishment really fuels a lot of the stuff that I do. So it's a routine that I would like to work on to get back into. We'll see if I actually do it. When the pain becomes great enough is when we start to make changes, right?
Yeah.
Right now the pain's probably not quite great enough. Maybe it is. Maybe after this conversation it'll help.
I ain't never seen 6 a.m. You feel me?
Same with
You feel
Celinda.
me?
She sleeps in too.
Well, I work like second shift. I have my whole adult life, but like 8 a.m. is what I aim for now. Most of the time I get up at like 9 a.m., but 6 a.m. just listening to you guys talk about it is exhausting me a little bit.
Shift. 8 a.m.'s respectable.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It was nice waking up early though. It also helped because my dog was a puppy then. So I had a lot of motivation to wake up and let him out and make sure I didn't have any messes to clean up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But finding that routine and changing that habits is pivotal, you know, if you want to be productive. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day, and it's not even the hours in the day after a certain point. It's like the hours that I can stay awake if I want to function at like my top level. You know what I mean? Because you got to fucking sleep.
Yeah, you do.
You gotta sleep. I gotta sleep anyway.
It's interesting. I remember like reading once, I forget what the article or the book was, but it was like the working, relaxing, and sleeping habits of like the most successful, like greatest minds of like the 19th century to like the like mid 1950s. And boy, are there various ways to reach success, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've had some of those guys like slept like
5 hours.
Or no, I forget who it was. It really bothers me, but they would take like 45-minute naps constantly throughout the day, and they would never.
Einstein?
Like Einstein, I think it was Einstein. Like he never
learned that from cats.
he never slept at night. But then there was one that I think it was Benjamin Franklin. Like he'd sleep like 9 or 10 hours, get some work done, eat, go for a 2-hour stroll, you know, like chill out again, do a little work. He only did like 4 hours of work in a day. So like seeing how
He's credited as being the first American self-made millionaire, Benjamin Franklin.
Interesting.
He's
the only one that's on the currency that isn't a president.
Right, he is.
And he's on the 100.
Right. Didn't he like invent the printing press too? Or at least was a very early adopter of the printing press.
I read
He did
a
not.
lot about him.
the
but
printing press was Gutenberg.
Yeah. He was an early adopter. That's how he made his millions, though. He was early adopter of the printing press and was like a printer and
he
printed
was
books
a
and all
printer.
sorts of stuff.
Ended as an ambassador.
Yeah,
Right.
he had some interesting takes on electricity.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the old key on the kite story,
Yeah.
Right.
you know?
An inventor, you know. Scientist before that was really a word.
Right. Absolutely. He was an interesting dude, and everybody finds their own ways to be productive. But waking up early and it's not even that I don't wake up early anymore. It's that I'm hopelessly addicted to my phone.
Well, I understand that intimately because primarily I use my phone for work, but then it gets confused with, just being social and friends. But yeah, those kind of things, you can dive deep into that. And I don't want to do that.
No,
I want to use that. That's a tool.
Right. No, it's awful, and I'm actually trying to make some changes. That I am actually trying to change is not like be on social media or be doom scrolling for hours at a time, especially when I just wake up. Like I could wake up at 6 and then doom scroll, and the next thing I know, it's 9 a.m. and I'm like, what the? Like I haven't done anything productive. I've been awake. I find like little to no value in what I've just done, and it doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't bring me joy or entertainment like it used to.
And that's a big change that like I am actually actively. It's crazy too. My phone, my battery used to be like dead by the end of the night. You know what I mean? 10%, 17%. And the past couple days, it's been around like 60, 70%.
That's good. That's improvement.
Yeah, dude. That's huge improvement. Just to show how much I was like just sitting there. You know what I mean? And I just think there's so many better ways to spend my time, whether that's reading a book, listening to a book, playing a game, doing something I enjoy, watching something on TV. It all just gives me a lot more fulfillment than being on any social media does. Yeah. But it has its place too. Sometimes it's a great time waster if I'm stuck in a doctor's office and got 45 minutes, half hour, for whatever to kill, and I don't have any other resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I just had somebody that, one of our friends that was like, you need to download TikTok. I have very actively not done it because I don't need another distraction. And she was like, no, it's great, you know.
I like TikTok too.
But
I don't have that on my phone.
I don't either.
Actually, I don't know. Don't get it. Use it carefully or in moderation. It takes some time to figure it out for the algorithm to get you, but I don't know.
That was the weakest. I don't know what you tried doing there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
I think
what I tried to do was convince myself that there's still some value in TikTok because that's the only one that I try to appreciate still. Yeah, you guys watched that like little back and forth with myself of whether or not this is actually something that benefits me in one way or another. I guess more will be revealed on that
It's still
front.
clawing at you.
It's still calling on me.
That
I have it
right
set
there.
to only an hour a day. I can only scroll on TikTok for an hour a day at the most.
Nice.
I usually always hit that mark, though.
What does it do, though?
Use it
I've never set limits on myself. Like, will it shut the app down?
It says, you have reached your TikTok allowed time. Type in the password 1234 to override this feature.
Oh, so you can override it?
Oh, yeah, I can override it.
So it's just a reminder, basically, with like a pin.
I don't override it, though.
That's good.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's just the reminder to be like, oh, okay, the time that you want to spend on here you've reached that time. It's time to go do something else, Tony.
They should link it to people's bank accounts, and if you sign up for it and override it, it charges
cost
you
me
like
$5.
$5 like every 30 minutes that you're on it past your time. That would get people to stop.
That would get people to stop. I guess that would be a revenue stream for them too, so it could be a possibility of something that can happen. TikTok, I am sure that you're fucking listening to this, you crazy information hoarding motherfuckers out there.
They hate that idea. They want people on their platform as much as it can be.
Well, it depends on if they make more money selling that $5 override or if they make more money from people watching ads. That's where the balance is. They'll figure it out, though. They got equations and algorithms for that kind of stuff eventually when it comes to it.
We got to patent it. We got
to patent it now, probably. Yeah, TikTok, you listening? We said it first, right here, right now. Curt Huston, you can have 30%.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude, we're all in on it.
And I got a little bit of reading I've been doing, and let's just say we're going to sue you.
Yeah, if you override.
if you go over our heads, you know.
Yeah,
I don't have that authority.
Idea. You don't have the authority to sue them? Not yet. A couple years. We'll give you...
Yeah.
How long's law school? 4 years?
3 years.
3 years? And then we're suing the fuck out of you bastards.
We're making a list. Kurt's been reading for years, you know, books for self-improvement. I've been reading books on how to sue everybody I know. You know?
It's the American way.
It's the American way.
It's the new and improved American way.
I've learned a lot of stuff. I'm gonna get very rich.
It's the poor person lottery. Getting injured at a grocery store, having somebody drop something on you and doing the old slip and fall.
Did you ever see that show, The Curse of the Lottery, and do any research of that?
I've done a little bit of... I don't know if I've seen that show, but I'm sure that I'm familiar with what you're about to describe it being.
It's about capacity. Mm-hmm. So, like, look at capacity as a cup, and just say, in this circumstance, wealth as the content, like the water going up. You hit the lottery... and this is your cup. And the lottery's like a 55-gallon drum.
Sure.
It starts pouring. When that's done pouring, if you don't grow your capacity, that's all that's left.
Right.
So the research shows a lot of people 5 years after they hit aren't
broke.
much better financially because they didn't have no financial IQ.
Right.
And that's what I've done most of my time down. I've been trying to grow my financial IQ because, unfortunately, most decisions I make have a financial consequence, plus or minus.
Sure.
So let me do things that are more plus than minus, and that's how it affords, the three-quarter houses in particular to still operate because of Huston Consulting Group, LLC.
Yeah.
Yeah, those two things are symbiotic. Everyone's telling me it's not a good business model and we got to separate it, but I'm going to give it more time.
This is interesting because I don't know if it's like from Curse of Lottery or other stuff that I've ever watched about the lottery, and I was going to ask you this earlier. This is a good tie-in, though. Like, I've also seen many cases of people winning, like, lotteries and having everybody they know come out of the woodwork and, like, give them a guilt trip, sad story to
That's
give money.
part of it.
And people, there's been, multiple cases where people lose their wealth because they're giving too much away. Is it hard with how you want to help people and also growing a business to go, okay, these three-quarter houses are totally essential. Like, I'd like to, play a big part in making Erie up to snuff with how many there need to be, but like going more on like the business ventures than the philanthropic, would you say?
I don't know. I work a spiritual program. I pray and meditate on a daily basis. I do a daily inventory. And for me today, it just seems right. Turning someone away in need that for all outward appearances, hey, I'm willing. This is what I want to do because I've been that person. I've been to prison 12 times. I've done 20 years, give or take a year, on the installment plan. And most of those times I went to prison, I either burned all my bridges or most of them. And coming off the other end, there was many times where I was willing, the options were really bad or they they go really bad. So I'm just trying to provide an option and an opportunity for people. What they do with it is on them. And some people, it's just like they got a nice place to squat for a month or so, and I'm just going to ride it out. And all along the way, they're like, well, just like in the handbook says, if you don't have a job, your full-time job is to get a job. It's amazing to me that there's a percentage of individuals that come to us and there's no motivation. I mean, I'm sweating. Because I'm riding a bike going house to house, and I come and the guy's like, yeah, I'm not going out looking work. It's too hot out. I'm like, what? And
you can't help. You can't work harder than other people.
Yeah, or it's too cold out. And I'm like, I'm on a bike. I just wrecked, my bike. All right, I got hit 4 times on an electric bike.
Jesus.
3 on that bike that's out there right now.
Holy shit.
Yeah, a car door opened right on me. Boom.
Wow. Yeah, Erie, we need those bike lanes that everybody's been complaining about.
And they've been growing since I've been here. I've been noticing them.
There are.
That's another great thing about Erie. So
yeah, it's not too big too either to get from one side to the other. Even on a bike, it's
even
not.
on a bike.
Yeah.
Not super hilly, at least in the city.
If you're going left to right,
Yeah.
if you're going east to west, it's not very hilly at all. But if you're going north and south, that's when you start running into hills.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all uphill to the mall. I mean, because I've been on the mall, go to the mall, Harbor Creek. I mean, I've been everywhere on that bike. You know, I even thought about like going like kind of far, like Waterford, but then those windy roads. No, that's probably really dangerous.
Right, and everybody fucking is hauling ass down those roads too.
Yeah.
So if you get hit, it's not like a bounce off and you got a scrape on your arm or whatever. It's a trip to the hospital for sure.
At best.
At best.
At best.
Yeah.
I wrecked a half a dozen times on the ice. There's no warning. Like you see like people swerving it. No, on that bike, because that bike's like 70-some pounds. You know, I'm 225 plus pretty much ever since I've been in Erie. That bike just instantly bam. Yeah, and if my knee's sticking out, like the one time I wrecked my knee really bad. And I'm going house to house, and they're telling me all these reasons why they can't do anything as I'm in the middle of doing things.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just like,
And
how
on
do
a
you
bike.
how do you not see that? The willingness, you know? And, you know, and ultimately for that individual, I'm doing all these things to keep the lights on for you, to keep the gas on for you. So you have some time now, so you can figure some things out and gain some traction.
Right.
Get your benefits hooked up. I mean, we have a whole resource packet. You know, there's 9 temp agencies in Erie. There's 10 now. Why is there 10? That's how many jobs there are in Erie. They might not be the best paying or the best jobs, but if
You got to start somewhere.
build up your resume.
Yeah.
And there's been, like, we have like 43 alumni now between men and women that been through our house. That's just since May 10th of last year.
That's a lot.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Now, some of those individuals took wrong turns or their will back, whatever, but they did what they needed to do to get to their next transition. But when we get people and they're not willing, where I'm stuck at, how do you get that person to be willing?
Right.
And, you know, being patient, tolerant, loving, you know, along those lines, you know, do I just be a drill sergeant? Yo, get your ass
back to
out.
TC.
Yeah, no.
Pulling you up.
And you can't force this lifestyle on anyone. So being patient with people's process and at the same time encouraging someone that, hey, there is some urgency here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
You got to respect your own time as well.
Yes. I mean, I would love to full time just be at the houses and the men and be more encouraging. And we have employees, you know, so we got 4 employees, you know, bookkeeper, we got a CSO, vice president, general manager, but half of us are spending time generating revenue to pay for the houses when as a team we could be providing much better support for our residents. And on the flip side, the residents could do a better job on trying to get a job,
right.
You know.
It's a process. Everybody goes through it. Sometimes some people are not, the pain has not become great enough yet, you know.
Yeah.
You got to let them go through their own things. One of the things I always said or practiced was, I'm not going to work harder than you are, to all of my clients.
Yeah, that's great.
If you want to work hard, I will work hard with you as well, and we will get you set up. We will do everything we can to put you in a good position to succeed. But if you don't want to go there with me and you're content chilling, then we'll have our required sessions and do what we need to do to make sure that we're compliant, and then you can go do whatever you're doing at the next place, you know.
Can I use that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, don't work harder than your clients. Ever.
Yeah.
Never, never, never. Doesn't mean you shouldn't work hard with your clients if they're working hard too.
No,
but
because then you can help more people, because that's just going in a different direction.
Right. And the people that want to work hard and want the help are much more fun to work with, I think. The process is more enjoyable for me, for somebody that wants to get there, you know, to go to the next level or progress in their life or whatever it is, then ever working with somebody who was complacent. You know what I mean?
I don't think you'll ever burn yourself out working with someone that is also working hard, but you sure will burn yourself out working hard on someone that's not trying at all, or with someone that's not trying at all.
Well, I like to say, and like Malcolm Maxwell, he's another author I like. And I don't know if this is along his lines or is another book, but when I read something about this, and I think I adapted it to myself, there's two kinds of people in this world, lifters and leaners. Mm-hmm. And to get more specific, you're in different states and different levels of that.
Sure.
So I got people that I'm leaning on. Mm-hmm. And then I got like 20 people leaning on me. And then they got 20 people and they got 20 people. If we're all going in the same direction, we're all rising.
Right.
If anyone in that chain starts going off in the other direction, it's the responsibility of the lifter to say, shake them off and be like, hey, this is where we're going. If you're not going this way, you got to go. But you can grab back on when you're ready.
Exactly.
And a lot of that I look at, like with recovery and, with me being a sponsor, with a lot of my sponsees, I make sure, like you're saying, I'm not doing all the work for them.
Yeah.
No, I didn't do that. I didn't even ask that of other people. Yeah, we're not doing that. And I sponsor a lot of people. I'm only able to do that if I focus on one thing, and that's step work.
Right.
So that's and then how it evolves after that, like if they've gone through the steps and they have a home group service position, they're sponsoring others. What's really wonderful with that process is then our interactions aren't so much about what they're going through, it's who they're sponsoring.
Right.
And that's where, for me, that's where the real friendship comes, because it's not just all, it feels like it's kind of one-sided. And for real, sponsorship isn't. It's like two people come together, and then when they both leave, they feel like they got the better end of the stick.
Right.
Because the only thing I know about sponsorship is it keeps me clean. That's the only thing I know 100%. And me being an addict, yeah, I'll take on another.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It keeps me clean. So, and that's how I know I'm still sick. I like making fun of some of my life decisions, and I'm okay because I don't take myself that serious.
Right.
My whole 24 hours literally is in the pursuit of others. Mm-hmm. I could change what I have right now and make it so it works for me financially in a really good way. But then I wouldn't have as many employees as I do. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have as many residents as I do. And I just wouldn't have, the bittersweetness of being on the front lines of recovery wouldn't be there.
Right.
In times past, when I tried this lifestyle, my life started getting better, and I wouldn't go to the fellowship as much, and I wouldn't be reaching out to my sponsor and other people in the same lifestyle, and eventually that caught up to me.
Sure.
And a lot of good things came into my life, physical things.
Right.
But the spiritual things that I have today, it's priceless.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
The peace, being able to not lie about everything and just be honest about things is the greatest gift I've ever given to myself. Yeah. Like, hands down. It's one of my favorite things is I don't have to make up and bullshit tons of stuff anymore as long as I just do the right thing and keep things simple. You know what I mean? I'm very grateful.
Very grateful.
Curt, I think that's a fantastic note to end on.
Especially since the video froze.
Oh, shit. Well, you guys got most of it. Hopefully.
It only froze like 2 minutes ago. It froze while you were talking about the stuff you were grateful for.
Awesome.
That's good.
This has been sweet, though, Curt. Thanks for stopping by. I look forward to continue watching and hanging out and seeing all the good things that are coming around. Yeah, I love you too, man.
Me too, yeah.
And we love you. Y'all have a great night. You can't see me, but I'm pointing right now.
I'm doing stuff too.
Peace out, y'all. Have a good one.
Put that away.
Hey.